Now for something completely different.
The Bitchspot Report. Welcome to the Bitchspot Report, the conservative atheist podcast that's not afraid to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Every week, your hosts, Cephas and Mike, will take on the latest religious and political news and examine the world around us from a distinctly conservative and skeptical perspective. Join us now for this episode of the Bitchspot Report. Welcome to episode 49 of the Bitchspot Report podcast, the weekly conservative atheist podcast that's not afraid to tell the religious and politically brain dead where they can go stick it. I'm Cephas. With me as always is Mike. And today we're going to laugh at a bunch of really stupid people.
Yeah, I think we've got quite a few. I don't know. I'm surprised they come out in the winter. I mean, I figured they'd come out in the spring, when they, I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
It's just a bunch of political and religious crazy nut jobs. But at least we're not going to be slitting our wrists this week, so that's kind of nice.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything in there that's really horrible and awful. One thing I did want to bring up before we got going, I ran into somebody today, and I mean, I know everybody who's ever debated a theist has encountered somebody like this, but it still kind of pissed me off. What the hell do you do to people who say they have evidence for God, but they're not going to give it to you because you just reject it anyway? What the fuck, dude?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't know what to say. It'd be like, I mean, if you don't want to prove it, then fine, I don't have to accept anything,
Oh yeah, well they could care less if you accept it. It was part of an ongoing discussion about evidence for God and evidence for angels and all that stuff. And one ridiculous fundamentalist asshole who's been a problem many, many, many times, he pops up and goes, well, I have all this evidence. I could prove it to you if I wanted, but you will not accept anything I say anyway, so I'm not going to waste my time. And yeah.
Yeah, you've already wasted my time going through that spiel, so why not continue on?
Yeah. This guy's a waste of breath, so I don't know. It's just something I felt like bringing up because it's not like I haven't seen it before, but it's so stupid. And you can't bring up that it's stupid because they'll just say, well, but you're picking on me. You just hate me because I'm right. No, I hate you because you're a fucking idiot. That's why I hate you.
Yeah. I mean, I've been watching Carlton George. He does these hangouts, and he's been on hangouts, and just kind of watching just the back and forth between these people. And the atheists or even the agnostics seem to be more in tune with reality than the theists. I mean, if I try to peel away the titles, try to peel away what they're arguing over, religion, God, all that kind of stuff, it's still, the atheists seem to be very sane, very more even keel than, the theists who are, my way is right, and your way is wrong. Why even bothering arguing it? Other than the fact I think somewhere buried in the Bible says you're supposed to convert the heathen or whatever the passage is. I actually saw it in glance and I didn't write it down. That is you are supposed to spread the word. And so if you truly believe, what you're saying and you have proof, give it to us. I would be very happy if you can present real, honest truth. And I'll say, well, okay, maybe I was wrong. But I know they can't. That may sound like I'm, a little bit of closed-mindedness, but no. I mean, I want real, do you got the skeleton of an angel? Has it been, sent to a lab and figured out, yeah, this is an angel? Has somebody, has it been independently verified? Has it been peer-reviewed? Whatever it takes. But if you got it, the evidence, give it to us.
Yeah, but they're not interested in anything like that. There's this other chick that I've been kind of trying not to debate with, who originally came up and she started saying that there are souls. So I'll ask her, how does she prove souls? Where's your evidence for souls? And she pulled the same nonsense going, well, you can't tell what experiences I've had. And I said, yeah, that's right. I can't tell what experiences you've had, but you can explain to us how you came from this experience to knowledge that this was a soul, or that this was a god, or this was an angel, or whatever it happened to be. How do you get from point A to point B? She can't say that. She can just say, well, I had this experience, and that's the way it is. And, right after I kind of stopped facepalming, she started talking about, well, you have to go to the right kind of psychics because there are a couple of frauds out there. And it's like, oh, fuck you.
Right.
What? No, you're too stupid to live. I mean, these people, we need to line them up and gun them down because these people are just too fucking stupid to live in a real world.
I'm amazed that they can even survive. I mean, I think you need some brain power to, drive a car, buy groceries, pay for an apartment or a house. I mean, that takes some brain power, and these people don't seem to have that. I'm just wondering how they live anyhow,
Yeah, I mean, I really don't understand it. I don't know how these people get through the day, especially the ones who are running around going, well, I pray to Jesus for everything. All right, Jesus, please make my car start. Fuck you. And there are literally people out there who do that, they can't, please make this doorknob work when I turn it. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
We need a bag limit on the stupid people, You can go out and shoot 10 stupid people a day, but you gotta prove that they're really stupid. The religious would not last through the week.
Right. That may not be a bad idea.
Yeah, it wouldn't either. All right, well, let's go ahead and get some news done.
Let's get some news done. Yeah, I'm psyched.
All right. And now the news. I try to do these stories every once in a while because we get really, really sick of doing Christian absurdity all the time, and I want to make people know that religion, any religion, is equally as stupid as Christianity. So, in Bulawayo, Zimbabwe, a landlord brought their tenant's goblin to the police station and dumped it there, causing police to evacuate the station house. One officer said that when the landlord opened the suitcase, a weird-looking creature jumped out of a bottle that was filled with blood. The police were leaping out windows and crowding out doors to escape the goblin. They had to call in a traditional healer, which is said to have overpowered the goblin and burned it. And we think that the shit the Christians believe is idiotic. Fuck you people. Come on. It's no wonder these people are in the third world. Look at the shit they believe.
Definitely. I don't even know where to begin on that one. I mean, I was hoping if it was something like a joke or something like that, somebody comes in with a spring-loaded something but goblin, somebody's pulling someone's leg over there and they're not accepting it.
Well, no, nobody's playing a joke. Everybody really believes this crap. I mean, it's stories like this that make me weep for the future of humanity. I mean, I honestly cannot imagine anybody on this planet, no matter where you live, that should take stories of a goblin seriously. I'm sorry, haven't we evolved beyond this point? Shouldn't we have evolved beyond this point? It's ridiculous.
Well, you would think. But when you have a core group of people who have, I don't know who's keeping this alive, if it's what you call them, missionaries, if it's the Christian missionaries keeping this thing alive, if it's the lone witch doctor, whatever they call them, shaman, whatever the proper term is, that's keeping these myths alive in order to, well, of course, it's more than likely just to keep people stupid and then trying to figure out what the heck is going on there. Because it's this perpetuating of these myths. And we've talked about these stories before, with AIDS is being spread by, white people, and bringing, vaccines, all kinds of the stuff that people have bought into. And I mean, they're hanging on to these, practices. I mean, I want to give them some credit. Maybe, it's not like we're not talking about the middle of nowhere and, that all they have is, shamans and, whatever.
No, they've also got Christianity, which teaches the same kind of stupid bullshit.
Yeah. I mean, I would like to think that there should be something enlightened, but, there's like a general rejection of anything sensible. I'm trying to find an answer. I mean, that's why I'm kind of hemming and hawing here, because really isn't. It's just like, perpetuating the stupidity and, the religious holding on to the last vestiges of their special world. And you're going to get stories like this, and there's people that are still going to believe. It's going to take a while to teach, to explain that this is all bogus. This is all make believe. This is just, rhetoric to subjugate you, whatever. I really wish I knew what was really going on.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, and if you look at the comments for the story, there's all kinds of people who are defending this belief. And these are people who are ostensibly in the Western world who are going around and putting down people who are criticizing such ridiculous witchcraft beliefs. And, honestly, it's a first world religious hypocrisy problem that we see continuously. This story has made the rounds in the Western world with a bunch of religious people putting it down, going, ha ha, look how stupid these people are, while all at the same time going, oh, but we're afraid of demons. Dude, there's no better reason to believe in demons than there are to believe in goblins. There's no better reason to believe in angels than there are to believe any of these stupid witchcraft rituals or other bullshit. You're all believing the same crap. And you're so utterly blinded to it that you embrace your own religious bullshit while you laugh at everybody else's. And it reminded me of this cartoon, and I went ahead and threw it into the show notes, where, you had a bunch of white explorers laughing at primitive tribesmen bowing down before this, this altar. And then you had the white men turning around bowing down before a cross, and the tribesmen laughing at them. Dude, you're all just as fucking stupid as the rest. All the religion is bullshit. Yeah. Don't just point at the primitive tribal garbage in Africa. Point at every church on every street corner. It's all the same shit. It's just a different shade.
Same shit, different, different demons. Basically.
Same shit, different religion.
Right.
All right, well, why don't you go ahead and jump to your first story?
Hi, I'm Ken Ham, President and CEO of Answers in Genesis and the Creation Museum. As many of you know, Bill Nye has agreed to debate me here at the Creation Museum on February 4th, 2014. It's really been amazing to me that as soon as many of the atheists heard that this debate was going ahead, they were pressuring Bill Nye to pull out of the debate. Many were saying that don't debate creationists because it just legitimizes their worldview or it gives them a platform. You see, many of these atheists just do not want creationists being able to get their message across. They want to stop people hearing about creation. In fact, they really are involved in censorship. They don't want young people to know that science actually supports the Bible and confirms the Bible's history. The other thing that I saw happen was this. There were atheists that were actually telling us that Bill Nye wasn't really an evolutionist to debate Ken Ham. In other words, he wasn't qualified to debate. It's all right for Bill Nye to be able to make statements about evolution publicly and be applauded for that, and yet then when he wants to debate a creationist, he's told by secular peers that he shouldn't be debating them because he doesn't really understand evolution. It's just amazing to see the things that have been said. But I encourage you to watch the debate, and you can watch it live at the Answers in Genesis website. So I encourage you to go to answersingenesis.org and you'll be able to find out how to watch the debate between Bill Nye the Science Guy and myself, February 4th, 2014.
Yes. Actually, I spotted this story right after we recorded last week's show. We were talking about Ken Ham and the Bill Nye debate that's coming up. And it's like, well, here it is. Ken Ham, my debate against Bill Nye is proof of significant dissent in the scientific community over evolution. And I'm like, he didn't even wait for the debate to be even happen. He's already claiming victory before anything. And we've gone through this that no one's going to win in this debate. It's just really, it's the sensible people, the scientific, the fact-based truth versus mythological, make-believe, totally pulled out of their ass and shown as, being, their truth. Ken Ham making claims that, hey, we won. And that's actually what we were worried about or what I worry about in these type of debates is that, you've given Ken Ham this level of credibility. Now he can say, hey, creationism is on the level of evolution. And that's not true. It never was true, and it'll never be true.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, this is exactly what I said was going to happen last week.
Yeah.
You know, this is nothing new. Creationists are just dishonest. And we knew that all along. And this is exactly why I've started to go around and suggest that debates for this type of thing really does nothing worthwhile for science. In fact, it doesn't really do anything worthwhile for any possible debate. If you went out and you started debating psychics, or you went out and started debating Bigfoot hunters, or any of that nonsense, nobody would think that's a good way to go. I haven't seen anybody out debating, magic woo people. You do what James Randi does. You say, okay, I am offering a prize for the first person who can prove X, Y, or Z is true under controlled scientific conditions. Bring it on. And lots of people bring it on. Every single one of them loses. He never has to debate any of these people. It's never up for public consumption. Reality is not decided by the public. It's decided by reality. Stop with these stupid fucking debates. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, oh, exactly. I mean, that's what gone through my mind. I know you talked about it last show, and like I said, here's an article. Ken Ham already is claiming victory, and they haven't even had the debate, and he's claiming victory. It's like, fuck you,
Oh, he doesn't care. I mean, he thinks he's won before he even proposed the debate. All he's doing is he's desperately trying to get more people in seats so he can have more money to save his stupid art park. That's all this is. It's a publicity stunt.
Yes.
I would really be happy to see Bill Nye point out Ken Ham's dishonesty and pull out of the debate right now and require that Ham refund all the people who've already bought tickets their money. I'd love to see that.
That would be awesome. And that's really
get right up until the end and then say, well, I'm not going. You have to give everybody's money back. Because as far as we know, Bill Nye's not making any money off of this anyway.
Right. Yeah, unless they're paying him to show up. I don't know, but I don't know what kind of contract it is for this, but Bill Nye, I'm pretty sure he's not making money off of it. Ken Ham, he's trying to build credibility for his idea. I mean, I can't fault him for that. But, the idea is bullshit.
Well, he's not trying to build credibility. He's trying to make a paycheck. He wants to make money. He wants to make a place that lots of people are going to come and pay him money to go through the turnstiles so that he gets more money. That's his point. He doesn't give a shit if it's real or not. He's a delusional fucktard. He thinks it's real anyway, and he doesn't need to prove it to anybody else. He's just out there trying to make a buck.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just thinking in terms of trying to make his idea credible so that more people will, he's fighting our fight, or he's, whatever the deal is, so that, I'll send him money now. It's like I said, but I think the end result is that he's trying to make, money to save his art park. And, I would love to see this go away, to be honest. And it would be great if Nye says, hey, you're claiming victory even before you show up. Why do I even bother, and walk away? That would be nice.
That would be excellent. I'd love to see that. Just to teach these creationist fucktards a lesson that you can't be doing this stupid shit and having a debate and saying, well, this is going to be an honest debate. There isn't an honest bone in Ken Ham's body. But to pull this kind of crap before it even happens and say, oh, look, this just proves that evolution is wrong because somebody's bothering to come debate me on it. Where the fuck did you get that? And we're going to go into this again in another couple stories. The religious are just so utterly clueless and stupid. I don't know what to do with them.
Dig a big hole and line them up. That's about the only way it's going to end. I mean,
well, even that won't end. Yeah. You're still going to get stupid people who would rather believe stupid things than deal with an uncomfortable reality. These people just want to have a comfortable, happy fantasy life. Yeah. They don't really give a shit if it's true or not. They only believe it because it feels good.
Yeah.
Fuck feeling good, dude. Reality is reality, and how it feels means nothing.
I mean, I think I've said it before. I mean, I'm happy. I'm more happy knowing that this is a random world and that evolution works. I'm very happy with the way, science is explained. this world we live in. And I'm very comfortable with the idea that, we're a fluke. We're a random chance. And, the billions of years of trying to keep pushing forward, that I'm cool with. But then to reduce it into some type of, into something mythological or, make believe, that does, I think, to me is more, disgusting than anything.
Yeah, well, see, I don't care about how it makes anybody feel. It is what it is.
Right.
Deal with what is.
Yeah.
I don't care if it makes you feel good to think that we're random, if it makes you feel good to make you think that we're created. Fuck your feelings. Your feelings mean nothing in the scheme of reality. All that matters is this is what's actually true. And if by some quote unquote miracle, Ken Ham or any of the other creationists managed to prove that evolution was completely and totally false, they still haven't proven that creationism is true. They don't have any evidence for that whatsoever. So all these debates really aren't doing anything. All it's going to be is Ken Ham sitting around tearing down, making crap up about evolution, most of which has already been dismissed in the past. He's never going to provide any evidence for creationism. I certainly hope Bill Nye goes in there and just says, I'm not interested in talking about breaking down evolution. I want to know what actual demonstrable proof you have for creationism. That's what we're here to talk about. I'm not talking about evolution.
Right.
But, of course, Ken Ham has nothing. He's got nothing on the table,
Exactly.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and do another story.
Sure gonna come to the rescue. Who's this? Yeah, where are you calling from, Josh? Manhattan. How can I help you, buddy? Yeah. Yeah, how about you? Have you ever thought about suicide? Yeah. Well, maybe you should think about it sometime, too. Might help the world. Appreciate you calling, though, my friend.
Fundamentalist televangelist wingnut Bill Keller told a caller on his live prayer broadcast to commit suicide and then denied that he had ever said it, even though there is video showing him doing exactly that. Apparently, honesty's just not a thing for the religious. Keller suggested that a caller should think about suicide, saying it just might help the world. No, Bill, maybe you should kill yourself. That would definitely help the world. What a fucking asshole.
Most evangelists and televangelists are a certain level of asshole. Pat Robertson and, telling people to get divorced and, because the wife's got Alzheimer's and, whatever. This is a whole new level of asshole. This is beyond your normal level asshole. Can I say asshole again?
Yes, you can.
Okay, asshole. He's an asshole.
There you go.
Suicide's a sin, and he's telling a person to sin. It's like, I just don't understand. And then denying it afterwards. It's like, oh, I never said that. It's like, fuck you. We got a fucking video showing it. It's like, oh, come on, dude. I don't know. I would definitely vote him as, the number one asshole of 2014.
Yeah, well, from his side, it is true. We don't have any way of knowing what it was that the caller said. All right. The caller could have called up and been a prank call and told him to go kill himself or whatever. And yeah, okay. I can understand him having that kind of a response if the guy was the caller was a troll. But where he screwed up was he tried to erase the evidence instead of simply coming clean and saying, well, here's what happens and here's why I said that. If he had said that, yeah, he's still a dick, but at least I understand why he's a dick. I can understand responding to a troll the way that he would have responded. But let's be honest. This just shows how completely out of touch these televangelists are. Why would anybody think they can do this in the modern world? You can't take a leak without a dozen people shooting video of it. This is up on the internet, and then he takes down his copy and thinks, well, nobody will ever know. What the fuck, dude? Of course they're gonna know. It's just gonna make you look like a moron.
Yeah. I don't think we've ever accused these guys of being smart, so I think...
Well, they're not. And the other thing, this is just from a completely technical standpoint, what moron is going to have an online internet show where they're only recording one side of the conversation? Because the video of this happening, you can't hear anything that the caller is saying. Any callers on his show. all he records is his side of the conversation. Wow, what the fuck? I mean, how hard is it to be able to record the other side of the conversation too? So it's actually not just one guy talking to himself.
That, or he puts in his own audio after the fact.
Oh no, I mean, it's actually him talking to somebody on the phone that you can't hear. So you never hear what the person's problem is. You never hear what they hear. You never hear anything about what they want, what they need. They're calling into this prayer line so that this guy can just put his side of the conversation on the internet. And that's got to be the most ridiculous idea I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I mean, shit, we have callers come on the show. They get to talk. Everybody gets to hear them. What's so damn difficult about this fucking Bill Keller?
Well, maybe he's opposed to technology. I mean,
he's opposed to reality. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely, he's afraid of maybe the modulator to hook the phone to the computer was made by a satanic company and he didn't want to use it.
He's never heard of Skype. There are lots of programs you can use to record both sides of a conversation. It's not that hard. It doesn't cost you anything. You're an idiot.
Oh, definitely he's an idiot. I mean that's kind of the given though, but then he goes to the next level of stupidity and it's kind of hard to respect these people or have any respect for these people for the way they treat their parishioners. I mean, this is a guy, I mean, we don't know what was on the other end of that phone call. I mean, it could have been a troll. It could have been, hey, I'm an atheist, fuck you, on the other end, whatever the deal was. I mean, I'm not going to make any, excuses. I mean, atheists can be assholes too at times, but, whatever has happened, then he tells him to commit suicide. I mean, it seems to be, like a no-no amongst the religious. So either he has no respect for his, listeners or whatever his ministry. There's just so much wrong.
Yeah. And plus the fact, even if it was a troll, and people are trolls. So I mean, I'm not blaming him for that part if that's what happened, but Jesus, dude, you don't feed the trolls. Yeah. You don't respond to them. You hang up and move on to the next call. That's what rational people do. But, look who we're talking about here.
Right. Yeah.
Another religious crazy person. All right. Well, why don't you go ahead and do your last story?
Okay. Now this is coming from the New Yorker, the Borowitz report, which is a satire. Which is, Stephen Hawking's blunder on black holes showed danger of listening to scientists say Bachman. Apparently this didn't really happen. Come to find out later, this was all part of a satire, but I did start seeing a lot of articles, people discussing, Hawking's latest hypotheses on black holes and that there may not be an event horizon, or at least not as we understand it. Now, or what we call it. It may be actually more like a region of, it sounds like light can escape, depending on the conditions and whatever, that either, the light can get trapped and, may, circle the black hole only to be spit out, or if it gets kind of like a whirlpool thing. And if it's too close, then the light would then get drawn in and, and drawn into the black hole. So he's coming up with a new idea or new thoughts on how black holes operate. But I'm seeing stuff, and this is from the IEEE website. This is the, I forget what it is, but it's one of the professional, electrical, actually IEEE, these guys are the guys that come up with the standards for, medium and high voltage, these are the guys that actually physically determine how big, insulators, how much insulation they do the testing, it's all the science behind electrical distribution, electrical controls, anything electrical. There's guys on there saying that they never even believed anything Hawkins said. I'm like, it's like, oh my God, it's like even smart people are, I'm no expert on physics per se. I mean, I deal with physics kind of on a daily basis, but it's not the hardcore, getting into black holes or stuff like that. I'm trying to keep electrons flowing on wires. That's my day job. So it's like when you start getting into these, more esoteric areas of physics, quantum mechanics, the whole thing, that's a little bit outside my range. And at least what I'm understanding about quantum mechanics is that everything's kind of hypothetical still. I mean, we're starting to break into some of the basics, but we're not there. And everything is still all kind of, hypothetical. It's all formulas. We haven't yet witnessed too much in terms of actual, quantum, concepts.
Well, most things in quantum mechanics right now, we just don't physically have the ability to see.
Right.
They go beyond our technological limits, but they all work mathematically.
Yeah.
So.
That's why I'm saying hypothetically, because it's all on paper. It hasn't been proven in a real world, through real world observations. We believe this is how it works, but we have yet to make those observations. So I'm thinking, this would be something like, this is somewhere where smart people can have normal discussions. Yeah. I mean, I was reading an article about, again, and this is all mathematical, that by separating two black holes, the quantum entanglement creates a wormhole between the two, and they've come up with that on paper, a formula that explains that. I go, well, that's cool. We're kind of getting, we're coming up with ideas. How to test it? I don't know how they're going to pull two black holes together and, do that. I mean, I don't know if we're at that point to do that, but, it's ideas to think about. But then there's people out there that they don't accept, what Hawking said. And getting back to the article, I mean, even though it is a piece of satire, I mean, this is something Bachman would say anyhow. I mean, this is, when science rethinks itself. When a guy like Hawkins or, Dawkins, anybody starts rethinking these basic ideas of how the universe works, that's automatically to the Ken Hams or the Ray Comforts and I wouldn't put Bachman past saying that there are kinks in science and that could be explained by God, or whatever. They can insert their global warming. They've used that. That there's problems here. So, then that means we gotta throw the whole thing out. No, I mean, it's just, we're working toward what's really going on. And my thoughts is that, even seeing smart people arguing against even a black hole's existing. I mean, that some of those, discussions were that they don't even think black holes really exist. And it's like, okay, but I thought we found evidence. I mean, we may not have actually found the black hole, but
we have.
But we got
of course we have.
But we got the evidence from there's these spots that are spewing out X-rays, and I think even the Large Hadron Collider temporarily creates black holes when it operates. I mean, that was one of the beefs that people were trying to shut it down over, is that it would create these black holes that were supposed to quote unquote annihilate the Earth. And, when the scientist says, well, yeah, that's what's going to happen, but they're so small that they'll annihilate themselves instantaneously. They'll appear and then they'll disappear. It's like, I'm cool with the idea of black holes. It makes sense. And I know if I'm not mistaken, we do have evidence, based on what we understand how black holes operate, we're seeing evidence that the black hole is there. But then, people arguing that they don't exist. I'm like, okay, this article actually kind of shattered my faith of smart people, or people who were supposed to be smart, or you would assume to be smart. And, I know the word, assume, what that comes out of that word. So.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, Hawking never said any of the things that this article says that he said.
Yeah.
All right. He never, ever, ever said that there are no black holes. All right. He said that the event horizons may not operate as we previously thought. And let's be honest, the history of black holes, starting out with Einstein, where he thought they were just this big, ultra heavy, region in space, to like Roy Kerr in 56, where he decided that they had to be fast rotating, to the point in time when we actually fucking found them, to the time we realized that there are supermassive black holes at the core of every galaxy. There's no question at all that black holes exist. We may not know exactly how they function at every level. That's what Hawking's talking about. That some of the things that we thought about black holes may not be actually true. It doesn't question that there are black holes. It just questions that, we may not have it exactly right.
Yeah.
And that's how science works.
Yeah.
It's an incremental approach to the truth. As we learn more, we change our ideas because we always are learning more things.
Yeah. I mean, that's the idea. We're piecing together the functionality of a black hole. Hawking proposes a different concept for the event horizon. Actually, even going back to, when you start talking about, debate. Now, this is what a debate should be. I mean, what really it should be about. Here's the idea. And now there's a guy, Alex Sakaris. He does a podcast called Skeptico. Has nothing to do with skepticism. This guy's into, life after death. There's all sorts of stuff. But he tries to take a scientific approach. Apparently he was an ex-PhD. He's a PhD dropout, I guess, from what I understand.
Well, you can either be a PhD or you can't.
Right.
There is no ex-PhD. You either earned the damn thing or you didn't.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. He was in a PhD program, and I think he was maybe a year away, and he bailed out.
Then he's not a PhD.
Right. He was, but anyhow, but he's, he makes this argument about debating science. He gets it all wrong. You don't debate something you can't prove to something you can prove. Now here you got Hawking, who set up something that he can prove. If he's got the formulas, he's got the ideas, the guy next to him, they can discuss this. They can debate it. They can sit around, have a cigar and a cognac or whatever however scientists really do debate this. They can write articles back and forth against each other. I mean, I think that's really the way it goes. But they can debate, and they could say, well, yeah, the X flux, whatever magic, like I said, I'm not really deep into that part of the science, but they've got their terminologies, and they're going to talk about it and discuss it, and they'll say, well, maybe Hawking's right, or Hawking's close, or Hawking says, oh, that's what I missed. I didn't have that piece. So that's how it should work. It shouldn't be, my mythological, sky being versus hundreds of years worth of research to show that species evolve over time, and, whatever, with our fossil record, our DNA records, all that kind of stuff that they've been able to pull together versus, that's not a debate. Debate is, I've got a black hole that has an event horizon like this. Over here, I got a black hole with an event horizon like this. Can we reconcile? What is the same? What's the difference? Are the two compatible? Are we dealing, whatever. That's a real discussion. But two totally opposed, the mythological to the real, those debates will never work. And again, the argument would be that by arguing, with the creationist or the whatever theist or theological idea, all you're doing is raising their point to your level, type of thing. Here, it's on equal level, physicist versus physicist, type of thing. So it's pretty much even. Then you can argue my event horizon works better than your event horizon. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we also have to remember, and I hate to say this because I don't want to pick on Hawking, but he has done this kind of crap in the past before where he's made claims that he can't back up because any attention is good attention in the scientific community. And so he has made some claims that just don't bear out. He's lost a lot of credibility doing things like that. I like the guy, I respect the guy, but let's be honest, there is a certain amount of ego that goes into this, and there are people who will take leaps away from the evidence and away from the math because they just want people to talk about them for a while. And I don't know how this is all going to play out.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter. And I'm not going to blame Bachman because, of course, she never did any of this stuff because, this is a nonsense story, but she is a representative of a party and of a mindset where this is actually happening, where they say, hey, because science doesn't know absolutely everything right this second to, a perfect degree of accuracy, therefore we're going to completely ignore science and we're going to go with our religious beliefs that we claim is perfect and inerrant and can never be changed. But that's not how reality works. Exactly. These people just have no grasp on the real way that we learn things about the world around us. And it also, when they start talking about Congress saying, well, we're just never going to trust scientists in our science education, whatever. That's kind of how they already work. And I think this just proves why we should have fewer lawyers in politics, because lawyers just don't give a fuck about the truth. They only care about spinning things their way to win cases. Scientists, speaking generically, scientists are out there to learn the facts, regardless of how it makes people feel. They're not there to win. There's no victory points. They're there to learn what actually happens. So I think we need to take all the lawyers out, shoot them, and put scientists in control, because at least they have a realistic view of the world. Yeah. Maybe we wouldn't be so fucked up if we had more scientists.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think if there would be a downside, but definitely.
Well, there would be less scientists doing actual science if we had the most politicians. That's the only downside I can see.
Yeah. But certainly, I'm fairly convinced that most scientists, we all have egos and, whatever personal gratifications we get from whatever we do. But I'm thinking for those that are truly into the science, they're really trying to seek out the truth. They're collecting data. They're examining the data. They're creating hypothesis. I don't think they're out to try to come up with the next big theory, or even being the one that turns evolution from a theory into law.
Well, it's never going to be a law. That's not how it works.
Right. But I don't think they're that arrogant that they could say, well, we can turn it into a law once, but you
can't, that's not how scientific law works.
Well,
it could never be a law, because that's not what a law means.
Yeah.
But there are lots of people out there in the scientific realm who, if you could prove that evolution is false and creationism is true, you'd be a multimillionaire up for the Nobel Prize. You'd be world renowned if you could prove that. Right. The fact that nobody has proven that says something about the ability to prove something like that.
Right.
I don't know. It's just, you go from a spoof story like this to realizing that that's really the way that the world works.
Yeah.
When it comes to these religious idiots.
Because I started looking, because this article's the Hawking article's been, it's making the rounds. It's definitely, it's been popping up like crazy on my Facebook, and I don't think I've seen it much on, Google Plus, but but I start looking at the articles, and then I start seeing comments like what I saw. It's like, oh my God, you could have waited. You could have sat there and, IEEE doing the same thing that Bachman's been, as being, satire, or parodied for, it's like, oh my God.
Well, especially since nobody's even seen the damn article.
Yeah.
It comes out in Scientific American next month.
Yeah.
This is just him talking about an article that's coming out. Nobody's even read what he has to say, but it doesn't stop them from sticking their foot in their mouth, does it?
Nope.
Yeah, I don't know. I wish there were more rational people on the planet. I wish there were 10% of the planetary population were rational. 5%. Unfortunately, I think there's under 1% of people out there who are actually rational, who can think about things. And that's why this planet is going to hell. It's just a mess.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to agree. Even people you would think is rational turned out not to be. I'm like, oh man, this is gonna suck.
Yeah, I don't know what to do about it either. People don't want to be rational. People just want to be happy and feel things that are warm and fuzzy, and if it gets in the way, well, fuck it, we'll just believe anyway, because, our happiness is more important than the truth.
Right.
So, I don't know. Well, I think we should probably get on and do the main event.
Let's do a main event.
This is the main event!
Hi, Mike and Cephas. I just want to say I love your show. I've watched the Bitchspot report for a while now, and yeah, it's just fantastic to hear a different voice in the atheist community. I would like to hear your guys' opinion on the higher education system, because it seems to me that this can kind of be a problem with conservatism, but I don't really understand conservatism, as I have been finding out. The professors are necessary to improve the society at large in general for younger kids, but it seems that they don't get paid enough, and then they head off to the industry, so the students suffer. because they get a second grade education. Basically, what are your feelings on this? What do you think the community can do to help these guys out or to try and improve education in general? Because education is clearly a very important part. Thanks, guys. Enjoyed the show.
Well, we had a question recently from listener Iamanatheist, a blogger from Korea, about education and teacher salaries, particularly in a university setting. We wanted to get him on, but given the time difference, that's quite a difficult proposition. Therefore, we're going to just try to stumble through and answer the best we can. He says that many university professors get paid poorly and therefore make a leap to other industries to make more money, and therefore the students suffer. Now, I admit I don't know if he's referring to how things work in Korea or in the United States, but since I can only base my answer on my experiences here in the U.S., that's the way I'm going to go. And unless you have some real experience with how education works in Korea, I think you're probably going to have to do the same.
I'm going to be doing the same. Yeah.
So what do you have to say first?
Oh, I get to go first?
Well, I can go first. I don't mind.
Go ahead. Go ahead. You go first.
All right. Now, it depends on what you're talking about, all right? By the time somebody's a full professor, not like an adjunct professor, an assistant professor, or anything like that, but a full tenured professor, you're making some serious money, all right? If you look at the averages in the U.S. for a full professor, they're making between $160,000 and $200,000 a year. Nobody can complain about that. The only people who complain are people at the low end of the ladder, and that's your adjunct professors and your assistant professors, and they really haven't earned a place to have more money than that, all right? Unfortunately, let's be really honest, from a conservative perspective, a professor is agreeing to trade his time and expertise with his employer, the university, for a set amount of money, all right? Either side can walk out at any time. Therefore, the professor agrees with what he's making, and he can quit and take his skills otherwise if he's unhappy with it. That's how capitalism works in this country, or works everywhere. So the idea that these poor people who have these huge educational debts are not making much money, well, did you ever fucking stop to look at what you could make starting out as a professor in a university? How much money you could make? If you didn't look, why the fuck are you doing the job? Why did you get the degree? People need to understand what their outlook is for the job that they're going to get. If they go out and get a degree in underwater basket weaving and that pays nothing and you've got $50,000 in school loans, well, you're an idiot. Why the fuck did you get that job? Why did you get that degree? And unfortunately, I know a lot of people who got degrees in liberal arts and history and, all these other things because they loved the field, but the fields don't pay. And now they're working in fields outside of their expertise with these huge loans that they will never be able to pay off because they didn't bother to think that there's a difference between making a living and loving what you do. So,
Yeah. I mean, that's what I see. I mean, it's exactly how I see it. I mean, I know a few people who have had opportunities to get more advanced degrees, people who are in advanced degree programs that it just became a financial, and these aren't professors. These were guys. I worked with this one guy. I won't give him his name, but I think he's still in the PhD program. He's just taking time off because he needed to make money. I mean, and, I don't know what his situation was, but he needed to start getting a paycheck, and having the master's and partial PhD work probably makes him a good paycheck. And, he does a lot of, and I worked with him at the engineering company I worked at, but then he went on to work for a research for a bigger company. And I'm sure that probably pays pretty well, but I don't see, especially in the engineering, it's kind of tricky because, these 4-year degree guys, they don't really make a lot. And then it's when once they get through the EIT and they get I forget what all the steps they got to go through to get their professional licenses and stuff like that. PEs, that's where you start making the money because, you're now licensed, you can seal drawings, you can approve, whatever, and, things like that. So that's when you start making real money. And then, if you've been in the business long enough and, that type of thing, you'll start making some pretty good money. But like you said, I mean, I know guys who have, my neighbor, he has an archaeology degree. He's got a bachelor's in archaeology. The best he can do is be an assurance salesman, and he was really a good one at that. And he was always broke. He was a bit, things he's done has been like a step over sleazy. But you see it on TV all the time that, these kids are coming out of school and they can't even get jobs. They got $50,000 of, 50, 100, whatever the cost is to get whatever degree they went after. And the best they can do is, slinging burgers at McDonald's. So there's that aspect. The professors or people, but getting people into teaching, I think there's this first hurdle you got to get by. That is, can you survive? I mean, you spent 4 years in a college. You've taken out these many loans. I've got a degree that I can work at. I can get a job, or, I mean, especially like engineering, if you got an internship, a lot of times those internships turn right into full-time jobs. I know, especially with the oil refineries. Refineries are looking for people, looking for kids fresh out of college. So they're looking and hiring like crazy.
Yeah, but they don't want the people that are coming out with these degrees in underwater basket weaving.
Right. Well, what I'm saying is that you're sitting there with with an engineering degree, say a chemical engineering degree or an electrical engineering degree. Do you want to continue on, maybe get a teaching degree along with that to teach engineering? Or do you want to make the leap into, hey, I've got these loans. I got an opportunity to work at a refinery. They're going to pay me, this much money. You make that decision. I guess in a way, it's that everybody's in, the individual situation. So when they're after that 4-year degree, do you continue on so you can get the, the more advanced degrees so you can get in as a teaching degree and then get in as a teaching at a college level? There's like these hurdles, I guess, you almost have to cross. Then you find yourself, you make the decisions, like within the sciences, like, physics, chemistry, so on. I mean, they're doing research on top of that. So there's probably other stuff that they can, not only teaching, but they're using the university as their research centers and things like that. So I think it really does depend on the situation. Like you said, sports. I mean, these guys that are going through in the colleges and in these sports programs are getting, literally underwater basket weaving. They were making up degrees that these guys can get through so they can keep their grades up to play football. And then when they were done and they didn't make it to the, to the big leagues, they didn't get they didn't get drafted by the NFL. They're sitting on a street corner with a tin cup begging for money. They graduated from, I won't name a school, but it sounds like Texas was kind of like that, where they would suck in these high school kids, give them really easy courses, use them up, during the 4 years at a college. And then, later, dude, you don't get to keep the car and the hookers and the apartment anymore. You're done. And, you're out there on the street. If you're lucky, you get arrested and you're sitting in a jail cell. I mean, there's that range that's going on there, especially in the colleges. So there's kind of this, your situation when you're at, you're graduating, you're getting ready to go out. Do you have a degree that's going to get you a job? If you have a degree that won't get you a job, you got a degree and no one wants to hire you. I mean, it used to be that if you did have a 4-year degree in underwater basket weaving from a good school, you could get a job because they weren't looking at what the degree was for. That's how I think my neighbor got his job as an insurance agent, is that it wasn't the degree itself. It was that you went through those courses, and gained the discipline, the thinking process. And I think that's what they used to look at. That's the way they looked at it, was that you went through these courses and you had it wasn't so much that you learned, literature or you learned, basket weaving or whatever. It's as long as you learned the train, how to study, how to research, how to do whatever, that's what they were looking for. Now that has changed recently fairly recently, where now they're looking for, if you're going to work in a refinery, they're going to want a chemical engineer or a chemistry degree or a electrical degree or a mechanical degree. They're not going to hire an archaeologist into somebody who has to work with instrumentation. That's not going to happen. It might have happened before, but it won't happen now.
Yeah, well, I mean, unfortunately, all this comes down to the way that universities work today. And society really has a lot to do with a lot of this stuff. Universities are absurdly expensive today because they realize that the government will give loans to almost anybody who applies. Thus, the price of a college education has gone up dramatically because almost everybody has access to the money. But people don't realize that they're going to have all those debts and still have to start a low-paying job. Everybody starts at the bottom. And unfortunately today, lots of people go into college, and when they graduate with a PhD, they've never had a goddamn job in their life. They have no work experience whatsoever. They have no work ethic. They have no experience. They don't know how to get up in the right time in the morning. They don't know any of these things that they have to know. There was a time when just about everybody got a job when they were 16 flipping burgers at McDonald's or whatever. Oh, yeah. That time is gone. People go into school, they get out of high school, they go into college, they go all the way through college, they spend all their time getting drunk, they don't have a goddamn job, they have no income whatsoever, it's all paid for by the government or by mom and dad or whatever, and they get out and they've got this piece of paper in their hand and they realize that this piece of paper doesn't mean a damn thing to most employers, because most employers want to know what you can actually do and see evidence that you've done it.
Yes.
That paper doesn't mean a goddamn thing.
Right.
And that's a problem. And there's lots of people out there, and doctors and lawyers, they'll get out with medical degrees and legal degrees and never have had a job. And they can't find anybody who will hire them because they have the degree. The degree doesn't matter as much as proving that you have the ability to actually get off your ass and do something. But that time is gone today. We don't see that anymore, and that's a problem.
I mean, that is the biggest problem. It used to be you can get the degree. It goes to like I don't know if credibility is the right term for it, but it's like you've gone through the courses, you had to be disciplined enough. And if you pass, get decent grades, that means you had the discipline and you had, to take the information in, learn something, pass the tests, organization, the note taking, so on and so forth. I mean, that did mean something at one time. It doesn't anymore. And I even saw, I think I saw something on TV about, even like, companies like Ford, GM, they're looking for, even their line workers, the guys that are putting cars together, they want them to go through a trade school, and basically they don't want to train you you can't just walk up to Ford and say, hey, I want to assemble cars. Well, you actually have to go through a trade school to learn how to turn screws before they will even think about taking you on as a line worker. They want people who are trained. They want, the trade schools, whatever they want you to go and take, a year's worth of welding or whatever the requirements are. Because, Caterpillar or whoever does, places that have, where they do welding, they're not going to train you on the floor. They want you to go to a school and do that. And, again, they don't have to pay to train you. That's a cost off their back. All they got to do is show you how to show up, punch, work your punch card and show you where your cubicle or your work area is. And then they want you to be able to turn the machine on and go to work. That seems to be the latest, how we educate today. I mean, it used to be, grade school was preparing you for high school. High school was preparing you for college. College was preparing you for a high paying job. That was the 50s. That is no more. Now it's, grade school is preparing you to, balance your checkbook. High school, it's preparing you for a line job or something menial. And then if you can cross that leap and get into a college, then you can get into, then it may be only a 2-year college or a trade school where you would learn a more advanced skill. And then if you were lucky enough, you have the money, you can get the 4-year degree or continue on and on, but everything is slipped. It's like instead of preparing you for the next step, they're preparing you to be able to I don't know, teach you to tie your shoes, teach you how to balance your checkbook, teach you how to, sling burgers. Like, basically all the standards have slipped. I mean, to me, that's the sad part, because college used to be where you get to a 4-year degree. That meant you were going to make a pretty good buck. Now that's just,
Well, I mean, the problem is we've really turned schools used to turn out people who were useful citizens. They don't do that anymore. All right. You went to high school and everybody had to have some kind of a shop class so that you actually learned how to do something. Today, the shop classes are all shut down. You don't learn that stuff in high school. You're lucky if you can read when you get out of high school. And so the first 2 years of any college that you go to are teaching you the things that you should have learned in high school. Therefore, you got to have more years of college to teach you the things that they used to teach you in the first 2 years of college. And then you got kids who want to spend 80% of their time getting drunk and getting high and, fucking everybody they can fuck. And that's the college experience. That's not what the college experience was back when I was in college. When I was in college, I worked a full-time job, 50, 60 hours a week, on top of going to school with a full educational load. I worked my ass through college. I worked my ass from the day I turned 16. I paid for private school going to high school out of my own pocket. I paid for all of my college. I paid it. I never had a loan in my life. I paid it. I earned it all. Today, holy shit, you suggest that anybody gets a goddamn job flipping burgers, they fucking have a fit. They don't want to work. They're too busy getting laid and smoking joints.
Yeah.
They don't care. That's the problem, is that you have a lot of people who they don't learn the lessons that they were supposed to learn when they were supposed to learn them. By the time that you get to college, you should know how to do things, how to deal with work. You should have a work ethic. By the time you get out of college, you should have significant experience in the work field. It may not be the work field that you want to go work for, but you should have been able to go to work, do a job, get promoted, constantly move up and show people that you are responsible enough to actually perform a task and do a job and know how to work business. People don't do that anymore.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. And I mean, maybe trying to get back to the question though is, because I think we're going a little bit off topic here a little bit, but looking at this chart, these guys make pretty decent money. It's just the instructors. I mean, I'm just looking at this chart, the top was this, the first 20, it's, 200,000 to 161 for a full professor. Instructors, that looks like, a quarter of that, roughly except Columbia, the instructors make pretty good money. Other than that, it's like a quarter of, that. And I think it kind of lends to trying to get decent teachers. I mean, it takes a while. I mean, I'm assuming a full professor, they've got to go through a lot more education. Instructors, I'm assuming, is somebody who had just got a teaching degree. They've got 4 years, maybe 2 years, or maybe a year or two into the masters. I'm just trying to think what is really, if it's a problem with the teachers, we're talking, this is number one, the highest paid professors is Harvard University, according to this chart. And this is from 2012. Columbia University's close, but they pay their instructors really good, like Columbia University, 167,800, and instructors 129,600. It's that, getting decent teachers in there, from my experience, actually after the fact, I'm going to say at least 80% of my teachers from grade school to college weren't worth the money that they were being paid. They were just there to, collect a paycheck. We're talking 60s and early 70s here. And, there was, I want to say there was only just a handful of teachers that really cared about teaching, but it was mostly the science teachers that I thought were cool. Getting decent teachers into these schools. I mean, I don't know, at least as far as college goes, other than, like instructors, there's the assistant professors. Well, assistant professors make a pretty good buck too. I mean, it's definitely better than what I would have made if I was coming out of school as a designer.
Well, I mean, the other problem right now is supply and demand. There's far too many teachers out there looking for work and not enough schools looking to hire. Therefore, the wages are depressed. That's how capitalism works. Once again, going back to this whole thing. And to get back to something that you said earlier, I think that there's a problem when you do get to the university setting, especially in the sciences, where professors are expected to do research in addition to teaching. In fact, they're expected to do more research than teaching in most cases. I had a good friend who took a course specifically because it was taught by a famous professor. The professor showed up on the first day and was never seen again. And my friend was pissed off. The whole class was taught by assistants and guest lecturers. That's how a lot of these high-end tenured professors operate.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter anymore. They're not there to teach. They don't care about teaching. They're there to do research and to write books and to do papers and to do things that bring money to the school. They're not there to actually instruct anybody. They don't even care.
Yeah. I was hoping to get to that too, because it's definitely, when you're looking at, we're going to extremes, between, tenured professor, PhDs who are doing research to whoever they find. I'm assuming it's whoever they can find off the street that has a teaching degree to teach basket weaving, underwater basket weaving. The schools have these priorities, sports is more important nowadays. It has very little to do with academics. I mean, granted, I want to say I'm making an assumption that schools like Harvard, the Ivy League types, they do try to maintain that education. But when you start getting into, like the University of Texas, I mean, I'm picking on Texas because I've seen a few articles and some documentaries about how Texas football works. And it's like, oh my God, it's like how it is. I mean, it's corrupt, and it was corrupt. I mean, it was even worse. I'm sure now they figured out how to hide it better. I mean, that's the only thing I can think, because there's just this, as far as sports, and I'm probably pissing off a few people because they're big on college sports. I mean, I think there is too much emphasis on sports. U of I, Purdue, Notre Dame, Ohio State. I mean, these are all universities that are U of I. I mean, they I think they're one of the best, computer science departments. At least last I heard, they were one of the cutting edge computer science schools. You don't hear about that. You just hear about the Illini and how well they did that weekend. It's like,
well, yeah, because they don't make money in the computer science department.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it's like, cause it used to be, okay, I want to get into engineering. Do I go to Purdue or U of I? Do I want to get into chemistry or whatever I want to be interested in? What schools do I really want to get to? Do I want to get to U of I? Do I want to get to, I just know Purdue has an engineering school. U of I's got engineering. I'm trying to think. I think University of Michigan, they've got engineering. So it's like, what school do I really choose if I want to get into an engineering, get an engineering degree? And, but it's almost, you can't figure it out, because all they talk about is the Wolverines or the Purdue Boilermakers or the Illinois Illini. That seems to be the more important. And then, like I said, University of Texas, they had paid, way they were aggressively recruiting high school kids and paying their education, full ride scholarships, extra perks like cars and stuff like that, just to get these kids to sign with the University of Texas to play the game, to play football. And I think I forget what was that caused but it had to do with a kid getting in trouble and getting arrested. It's like these these sports programs have taken over the purpose of what a university is. It's like you said, these kids, they go, University of Illinois in Carbondale is a party school. If you want to go to a party school, that's the school to go to. Apparently, no one remembers going there because, they were drunk all the time. And I really went through that school. Oh man. That was 4 years, I don't remember.
Yeah. And I think that's just stupid.
Yeah.
You know, I have no respect for anybody who goes out and parties all the time being in college.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I'm sorry, if that's what you did, you don't deserve the degree you got. You're an idiot.
Right. Oh, it's definitely, I mean, and fortunately hopefully I haven't run into any Carbondale types.
Well, if they went out and got drunk and spent their entire time wasted, well, fuck them. I don't care.
Yeah.
You know, I tell people around here, anybody I run into who sits around and goes, yeah, you know, I'm in college and I'm partying all the time and I'm getting laid and I'm doing all this stuff. You're a moron. You know, you are a complete fucking moron. You gotta earn respect and, you're not doing it. Yeah. You're an idiot.
Yeah. You're spending all this money and if you got loans, you know, because really these days, getting student loans, grants, you know, there's all that stuff that goes with it. When you come out, you didn't learn anything because you were stoned, drunk, whatever you were. So you're stuck with these loans. What do you put on your resume? Yeah, I majored in, bong hits and, beer bongs, you know, that's what we did every weekend. You're not going to get a job at, you know, a decent company. You're going to get a job at a burger joint. So you're going to make minimum wage trying to pay off a $50,000 student loan. Then you're going to be pissed off at the world that they didn't treat you right.
Yeah, but, you know, as I keep saying to people and nobody ever listens, minimum wage jobs are not intended for people who have families who are trying to live on that income. They're designed for kids who have never had a job, who need to go out and learn job skills such that they can move up. Anybody who has a family and is trying to survive on a minimum wage job is a fucking idiot. All right? Yeah. Don't do that. You know, and then you get right back to, as you were saying, you've got all these people who go out there and they've got these massive school loans that they have to pay off, and they're bitching or whining and going, oh no, it's $800 a month to pay off this loan because I have like $300,000 in loans. Well, dude, what the fuck have you done with your life? Yeah. You know, you've sat in a school, you've never done anything, and then all the liberals want all these loans forgiven. Why? Take responsibility for your actions. You're the one that signed up for the damn loan. You're the one who never had any work experience. You're the one who can't find a job, mostly because you got a degree that doesn't make any money, but because you have nothing to show for yourself, and now you want everybody to forgive your loans? Fuck you! You're an idiot.
You know what? I took out loans. I got a couple grants to just get through 2 years of school. And, fortunately it wasn't 2-year college, so it wasn't really that expensive anyhow. So I was able to pay it off pretty quick. But it was, you know, I was like, I got out of school, when was that in, I think I technically graduated. It was in 87. I think it was I forget if it was after the summer session. Technically I was done, got my diploma, and it took me 6 months to find a job. And of course that was about the same amount of time. You know, there was the grace period before you had to start paying the loan. I'm trying to say my payments were, I'm trying to remember now, but it was, you know, it's like the first job I got. I mean, I had been working summers and stuff like that. And I mean, I'd been delivering newspapers since I was 15. I had worked in a restaurant. God, what else did I do? I want to say even for a little while I'd worked in a drugstore. So it was a lot of minimum wage, a lot of minimum wage stuff, but I got through college, got my degree. About 6 months later, I got a job. The loans started coming in. Fortunately, the job I got, I was able to afford to buy a car to get me to work, and I had just enough to pay the loans off. And that's what I did. I stayed at home, got the student loans taken care of. It took me, I think it took a couple years to do that. And I got through it. You know, yeah, and then staying sober, not have much of a life. You just buckled down and you did it. I mean, I worked two full-time, one over the summer, mainly because I had the opportunity. I worked two full-time jobs for about a month before I kind of flipped out. I mean, that was, you know, working 16-hour days for a month. Yeah, when I started hallucinating, I decided I better drop one of these jobs. But then also 4 hours in school. Fortunately, it was just lab work, so if I fell asleep, I wouldn't hurt too many people. But it was, I got through that. You know, I just muscled through. I mean, that's what it was. It was that last push. I muscled through, was done, got my degree, and I've done pretty good. few little bumps along the way, but that happens. And, you make it happen. And, nowadays, my little brother, God bless him, and I know,
so to speak.
Yeah. We were having this argument. He was like, well, why didn't you tell me that school was important? And it's like, I'm looking at him like, you didn't just say that. We were pushing this kid, trying to push this kid to learn. That was it. Learn. That's what school's going to, get through high school, get to college. We were totally supportive of whatever he decided to do, but he decided to goof around. And, when he ran into his financial problems and he decided, to go get to school, he learned welding. He now works for Caterpillar. Everything's good. But he was saying this like, but no one said that school is important. And it's like, dude, we said it every fucking day. Dude, you gotta get through this. You gotta understand, and, I don't want to drag him some family stuff, but, he just had no clue and his friends had no clue.
Oh, I'm sure they had a clue. They just didn't want to listen because it was uncomfortable.
Oh, no, they had no clue. This one kid had absolutely no clue. Everything was a party. It was get drunk, stoned. He got an inheritance from, whatever, grandparent or whatever. He took that money. He rented an apartment. Never took a job. Never got a job. After 3 months, he was kicked out of the apartment. We found his stuff in garbage bags in our backyard because he was living out of my backyard. And then he broke into the house, took my brother's change jar, and because my brother said he would lend him the money, just wait till I got home, but he couldn't wait, so he went in through a window. So we had him arrested. He spent time in jail. The only thing the kid was interested in was getting that inheritance money and to party his ass off. That was the only thing that went through that kid's head.
Yeah, and I'm sure at the very end he's just whining, well, that's not fair. Well, fucker, you fucked up your own damn life. Don't come complaining to anybody else. You did it to yourself.
Exactly.
Blame yourself.
Yeah. Now, I'll cut people slack. My problem with the student loans was my parents made too much money. So I got a higher interest rate. So again, not a big deal. I sucked it up, got it done. There's going to be problems getting an education. That's what life is. Life is one problem after another. You just get through them. You muscle your way through or, find a way around it. Preferably not doing anything illegal, but you figure out how to get each step done. It's not easy. I'm not going to say it's easy, but it can be done, and, a lot of times these kids who, I think we've talked about this before, they give up because it's too hard.
They're too lazy.
Yeah.
But that's an entirely different discussion that we can have at some point in time.
Well, I think we already had that discussion, didn't we, early on?
Oh, I'm sure. I forget what we've talked about after a while. Yeah.
I know
49 episodes in and I don't know what we've talked about.
But I think we've talked along the same lines, as far as education. I'm a big fan of education. That's, getting into school, get a degree. If you want to pursue a career in archaeology, go for it. Hopefully you'll do all right.
You need to find out if having a degree in archaeology is going to get you a job.
Right.
You can't go into it and say, well, I'm just going to get a degree in whatever I like and then hope that there's actually work for me out there someplace.
Right. You probably want to talk.
That's not the way it works.
Yeah. You'll probably want to talk to a university who's offering it and saying, hey, what can I do with this? I'm really into archaeology. I really like to do this. What opportunities? Is there opportunities here that however they do it? I don't know how, because I know there's guys that they're careers. They're career students. Mainly, I don't know if that's how they keep from paying off their loans or whatever, but, if they could stick with the school, and that's probably it, that one professor who teaches one course and then has his aides. He's got these kids who are trying to continuing on to their degrees, going for their masters or their PhDs. They're teaching that guy's course. After they're done with that, they're probably in the lab with him doing whatever experiments that he wants them to do for, they run these specimens, whatever their request, there's probably ways, if you really wanted to do this, you can do it. But make sure that you don't just say, yeah, I want to be an archaeologist because I think Indiana Jones is cool. That ain't going to cut it. That's not going to cut it,
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, I do know somebody who spent 20 years as a professional student, never had a goddamn job. I mean, he just sat there and just kept taking courses and courses and courses and courses. And finally they told him to get the hell out. And he's got probably $100,000, maybe like $120,000 in loans. And he can't get a job doing anything because he's never worked a day in his life. And that's exactly what happens. It's like, yeah, great. You got all these pieces of paper, all these letters after your name, but that means jack shit when it comes to actually getting a job and working.
Right.
So I don't know. I think we've kind of wandered all over the damn place on this one. I hope we answered his question, but if he didn't, by all means, we can come back and revisit this at some point in time in the future.
Yeah. I mean, I think the idea was, I think universities, they do get good teachers. They have, at least the opportunities there. Whether they can hold on to them, that's probably up to the teacher school situation. I don't think it's, at least in the United States, I think we are lacking a lot in the way we educate and how we educate and who we educate. That may be more of the problem than the actual teachers. I think that's what he might have been asking too. So anything for the listeners.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that people who want to be teachers, and that doesn't matter what level you want to do it at, if you want to teach kindergarten or if you want to teach, at a university, you need to go into it with realistic expectations. You need to understand that you're not going to pop out of college with a piece of paper in your hand and automatically be hired at, a $200,000 job. It doesn't work that way. You are going to start at the bottom. You are going to start being an adjunct professor or just an instructor or somebody who's making very little, and you are going to have to work your way up, and there's no way around that. And if you want to make it a little easier for yourself, start doing that before you've got the piece of paper. If you wait till you got the piece of paper, you're dead. Yeah. You cannot recover from that because you have these loans that you have to pay off, that you cannot write off. Bankruptcy does not remove them. You are paying them off whether you have the money or not, and the state doesn't give a shit.
Exactly.
So be intelligent, pick a good major to go into, and work your ass off your entire goddamn life. Stop partying, get a job, and be a responsible human being, and you won't have a problem. And then you will earn your way up the ladder until you're holding that $200,000 a year career.
Or plus. I mean, who knows what you can do. I mean, as long as you work to it.
Yep. But most people are too afraid to work, and that's the problem today.
Yeah.
All right. Do we have anything else to say this week?
No, it's just, I'll be putting out an announcement. You probably should have already seen it. It's for my, live show, February 1st. Live, A Skeptic's Guide to Conspiracy. We'll be talking about 9/11 conspiracies, kind of getting into a few more of the conspiracies, and there'll be a Q&A. There will be a Google Hangouts. Sometimes the Q&A works, sometimes it doesn't. I'll give you an email address if you want to, in the show, if you're checking it out and you want to ask a question. Actually, if you want to send a question ahead of time, feedback@mikebowler.com. I can read it out loud. If not, I'll probably either that or another email address. I'll announce it on the show if we can't get to Q&A. If you want to ask questions, by all means, send them in. And I think that's about all I have.
Yeah, I tried to be on the show last week. I know that Google and Gmail and all that were having massive problems the day before. They were down for a couple of hours. But I went in and I clicked on join the hangout and I ended up in an empty hangout with somebody else. And I sat around, I waited, I figured everybody's just late. Nothing happened. I went out. I went to the Irreverent Skeptics community and it says join. Going right back into an empty hangout. Nothing happened. I came out. I went to the link in my email. It says join. Nothing happened. And so finally about 20 minutes into the show, and I went and looked and you guys are recording. I was like, fuck, all right. So I sent John a message. I said, I can't get in there. There's something fucked up with Google.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of weird, we've gone through a lot of weird stuff with Google Hangouts. I mean, it works great when everyone comes in. It's just that, like with me, sometimes I can't see the questions, the Q&A part. I've tried, I think we've had, you definitely, I think we've tried, I think we've had similar problems like that, but it's all intermittent type things.
Yeah, I don't know, because there was somebody else who was trying to be on the show who was in the empty, hangout with me. And she finally just said the hell with this and left. Because she just kept coming right back into this empty hangout.
I wonder if Brandy was that Brandy trying to get in?
No, I don't remember who it was. It was somebody else.
Because Brandy was having trouble connecting. Everyone else had been connected. She was trying to connect, and it would, I don't know, like Carlton would get these weird messages like, I think it was like something with the application, do you wish to close? He's afraid that he'll kick everybody out of the hangout. So sometimes it works great, sometimes it doesn't. It's really weird. It seems for me, I haven't had any trouble. I think I don't think I've really had any problems, except it's like I think it like loads the Q&A like an app, maybe like a subs, like a pop-up window, and trying to populate it and it hangs up. I don't know, but that's the last week the Q&A started working for me, so there's got to be some kind of weird bug, or if it's
yeah. Google is not necessarily reliable, unfortunately. Yeah. But I tried. I gave it my best shot, and then I said, screw this, and went back to bed. So
that's cool.
Yeah. All right, well, let's go ahead and wrap it up for the week. Well, that's about all we can squeeze in this week. Come back in 7 short days for another installment of Conservative Atheist Goodness. You can find us everywhere, and if you can't find us, you're just not looking that hard. Please tell your friends about us and rate us on iTunes and Stitcher Radio. Until we meet again, stay rational and think. It only hurts a little. Adios, everybody.
Later.
You've been listening to the Bitchspot Report podcast with your hosts, Cephas and Mike. You can follow us on Twitter respectively at Bitchspot1 or at JDRipper1962. Please visit our website at report.jdragononline.com. We're on Facebook at facebook.com/The Bitchspot Report. We're also on Google+, iTunes, and YouTube. Those links are on our website. We'd love to hear from you. You can reach us via email at report@jdragononline.com. Comments, ideas, and suggestions are always welcome. We'll be back next week with another fun and fact-filled episode. Please tune in again.